Sorry to have kept you waiting. This is an organization founded by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Too much gain. Fix the gain. Who came to America from India. He left from a port in Calcutta, where the Ganges leads out into the ocean, and he came across to America with a specific mission, which was given to him by his teacher, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, who was a highly successful teacher of Bhakti Yoga, and who had established hundreds of centers around India that taught the principles of bhakti. But the founder of this organization was asked by his teacher to do more than that, not just India, but he wanted to take it beyond India to all the other countries of the world, starting with America. Because at the time, America was known as the most important country in the world, and also English was a well-established language all over the world. Many people could speak. So he asked him, his disciple, to take it meaning the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who taught Bhakti Yoga 500 years ago and is known as an incarnation of Krishna. And it wasn't easy, but he had this faith that if he would follow the order of his spiritual master and just try to do it, that Krishna would help. And that was altogether reasonable. After all, in the Bhagavad Gita, the main theme is Arjuna, who takes on some of the greatest fighters in the world and is successful because he decides to follow Krishna and his instruction to fight. And furthermore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about how those who are sincere and try to practice Bhakti Yoga get help from him directly from within the heart. As is suspected by people all over the world, you'll see in poetry and many writings that there is a higher power, and that the higher power speaks to us. You know, the still small voice within from the Bible. It's very popular, and there are ways in which people feel inspired. In fact, the word enthusiasm means en theos, the God within. En means in, and theos means God. Enthusiasm means I'm being inspired by a higher power. And therefore, he thought it reasonable that if he would, and I'm now talking about A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who was the founder and what's called Acharya, or one who teaches by example how to follow the process. He felt that although he had limited resources for a startup, in fact no resources except his own enthusiasm, that if he would utilize that to come to this country, he would be successful. In fact, he said so when he was taking the boat trip over. And the boat trip was no luxury liner. It was a cargo ship, actually. And there was a makeshift room on that boat that was given to Prabhupada. We call him Prabhupada for short. Gratis. He didn't have money for the ticket. So he had approached the owner of the company and asked her for a ticket to come across the ocean. And she was reluctant, not because she didn't want to give him anything in charity, like a free ticket across on a cargo ship, but because she thought he was too old and he wouldn't survive the journey. I don't know how many of you travel by sea these days. Most people only go just on a cruise or something like that, but ships can be nauseating. In fact, that's where the term comes from. It's a nautical term, means you get seasick. And so when he was on the boat coming across, he wrote in his diary a series of prayers in which he asked for help, and in a beseeching way. It's very heart-touching, actually. And this is actually the main way to be successful in spiritual life, is to be sincere and to try. And it may seem like there are insurmountable obstacles, but we see examples of those who faced insurmountable obstacles, but they were able to overcome them by being sincere. And part of sincerity is being persistent. One must persist. In fact, the stories of people who break through in secular life are legion. That is, those who are persistent. And they keep doing something, despite the fact that they're a nobody and they haven't gone anywhere yet, they keep trying. And then they have breakthroughs by being consistent and persistent. So that happened when Prabhupada came to America. He was able to attract young people who were looking for a cause in life. And many of them were predisposed to spiritual practice and even to the Eastern trappings that Prabhupada brought with him. Of course, it's universal. It's not Eastern or Western. But since Prabhupada came from India, India has a kind of attraction for many because of the music, the culture, and of course the philosophy. So then Prabhupada kept at it, that is, developing his organization, starting from a fledgling way from New York City in a very small storefront, which is still there. He started his first rented place, and it's still being rented. But if anybody has $15 million, please tell me afterwards, because we'd like to purchase it. That place he rented, or some helped, came forward and said, we can help you rent this small apartment. It's just a storefront on 26 Second Avenue. And he went from there every day to a park, Thompson Square Park, and he would chant. And the mantra that he chanted is especially powerful. It's not as Prabhupada said before, it's not a musical concert. That's not why it's attractive. In fact, Prabhupada didn't bring any musicians with him when he came to Thompson Square Park. He was alone. But he chanted the mantra out loud, and this is one of the ideas of the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who taught that if you chant this mantra, which we're going to try in just a minute, out loud, then when people hear it, they'll be enlivened spiritually, because the sound of the mantra comes from the spiritual world. And it's a spiritual mantra, and it's actually non-different from God himself. God can appear in any different way, in any way he wishes, and one of the ways that he does appear is in sound. This is called sonic theology. So Prabhupada did that, and apparently magic happened. People came, they were attracted, they asked to help, and then he spread the mantra to many other countries around the world by asking his followers to go and land sometimes in foreign countries that they weren't accustomed to. For instance, there was a couple of devotees, a married couple, Sudama and his wife Chintamani, right? And they were in Los Angeles when Prabhupada was there, and Prabhupada asked them to come see him in his room, and he asked them to go to Japan. And that meant go there and start a community, a spiritual community. And Sudama was a little bit surprised. He said, but we don't know anything about Japanese culture. I don't speak Japanese. How will we do that? And Prabhupada said, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said, if a person moves into a neighborhood where he doesn't speak the language, but his house catches on fire, and he needs help, one way or another he'll get the message across. That's why we got that phrase, house on fire desire. If you really need to, if you have such a burning desire that you have to have something, you're going to get it. Even Weight Watchers says you got to wanna. So Sudama went there, and miraculously he picked up Japanese rather quickly and was very successful there. Even today, people remember him, even from the 1970s when he was there. He's well loved and remembered for the work that he did there. And he, in this way, that's a sample or an example, but many were similarly successful around the world, in European countries. And of course, many of them were not those who were going there from America, but people from various countries started taking up the chant, the Hare Krishna chant. And this is the main process that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, that anyone can chant the mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra. And what happens is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. If you do that, you get a free flower garland. Hey, works every time. And other free gifts too, to be named later. So this is real life. This is a life that's exciting and happy. When we're struggling for ourselves, there's a lot of anxiety. We're always wondering when we're going to lose what we have. There's no gain here in the world, because as soon as we get it, we're worried we're going to lose it. And there's always a sense, too, it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. And even if it is as good as I thought it was going to be, then it diminishes over time and it becomes disappointing. But it's never like that in practicing spiritual life. It's the thrill at every moment. When we take the same principle that Prabhupada started the movement and we take a risk, like I'm going to go someplace and try to start a Hare Krishna movement there. Then when you get there, you find out how everybody's interconnected, how there's a higher intelligence in the universe that's moving everybody around. You find out how everybody gets what he or she deserves. And you also find out that sincerity is infallible. You always win with sincerity. So this was Prabhupada's formula. He said, I always tried to follow, or I always just followed the instruction of my guru, and because of that, I was successful. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives many useful instructions, and one of them comes in the 6th chapter, 24th verse. And there's an instruction that we can all listen to and aspire for, or aspire to follow. And there's also a little story that I think everyone will like. Anybody here like stories? Okay, about 80%. The 20% of you that didn't, just cover your ears. When the story part comes up, I'll tell you when it's coming. So here in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's talking about the practice of yoga. And he says, one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. How did that strike you? Did it sound severe and unattainable, or did it sound like I'd like to pursue that some way or another? Am I putting words in your mouth and just giving you a limited number of choices? How did you feel about this verse? I'm going to read it again and now see how you feel about it. And we were going to put somebody in charge of air to make sure that we always have oxygen in the room. Okay, Radhakripa will be the new czar of air, the air czar. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Actually, I'm going to make the question easier. Did that sound easy or hard? Impossible. Sounded impossible. Okay. Then that's what we're going to talk about. When I'm going to go through the purport, and then I'm going to give at least three very simple principles that are taken from modern conceptions that we can apply to have this work in our life. How does that sound to you? Should we proceed? Is it a deal? Okay, here we go. Here's the purport. There's some reading glasses in there. It says reading. That's not that. Now the purport, here's what a purport is. Thank you. Gracias. Purport is an explanation given by the Acharya. So Acharya, the great teacher, as I said, that teaches by example, but also by precept. Acharyas take the time to collect the essential teachings of the very vast body of knowledge called the Vedas and present it in such a way that we can follow it in our everyday life. And so in the purport here, you'll hear an explanation of the verse, which makes it practical, but it also, we should know that it follows the opinions and the teachings of previous teachers. This is the rule in being an acharya and passing down the teachings, is you don't make up anything new. However, you can put it into your own language, the same principles, so that people in a particular audience can appreciate what you're talking about. Does that make sense? It's called realization, and those who present it should be sensitive to the audience. So here's the purport. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there's any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha nishchayad dharyad, tat tat karma pravartanat, sangatyagat satovrate, shadbir bhakti prasidyati. Is it Kumbh Mela today? It's kids' Kumbh Mela. Translation. One can execute the process of Bhakti Yoga successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination by following the prescribed duties in association of devotees and by engaging completely in activities of goodness. Everyone okay? I'm going to keep going. As for determination, here's the story part. One should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. A sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal, so the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate toward his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially bhakti yoga in Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job, but if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves. I noticed in the purport that Prabhupada wrote that sometimes when we decide to take up something, others may try to discourage us. Have you ever found that? Yes. So that's could be an obstacle. And obstacles could come from other places as well, perhaps from within our own minds. We may feel ourselves limited and may have ups and downs and so forth, possible, right? So this is a very encouraging verse where Krishna tells us, and Prabhupada confirms, that success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Now, we are going to chant Hare Krishna in just a minute. But first I wanted to mention a few principles that can help. So in the verse itself, Krishna says, one should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all senses on all sides by the mind. So how does one do this? How can you abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation? Okay, no one volunteered, so I'm going to say. Okay, do you want to mention a few things? Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I just wanted to mention that we can avoid speculation by hearing from Sadhu, Guru and Shastra.
Okay, except a higher authority. So it's, don't speculate. And you were going to say something? Yeah. Now you don't get credit unless you use the mic, right? Yeah, I got upgraded to Fiji.
Yeah, I was thinking, since we are in this, material world, it's going to be very hard to, get away from the desires, because we have to, satisfy some needs. But I was recollecting the words in the second chapter, Visaya vinivartante, niraharasya dehina rasovarsam rasopi asya param drishtva nivartate. So if you try to concentrate on something higher, then you start developing the taste for that. And then automatically these things kind of, pale out. So that's
very good. That's an important principle. Now, how do we get there to the higher taste? Because in the beginning, it may seem difficult, because Krishna here is saying abandon all material desires on all sides. And it's like, okay, well, I'm practically in the middle of an ocean of desires. So how would I do that? I have a couple of suggestions that may be practical. But Bali Mardan Prabhu is about to speak.
Yes, I have also one realization, which is when Sandipani Muni's wife, after the studies is over of Krishna and Balaram, they asked, so his wife was there thinking to ask their dead sons to return, but his wife was kind of reluctant, how it is possible, it's impossible task. But lately they developed the faith, nothing is impossible for God. So let's ask. So that's the thing.
That's good. Thanks, Bali Prabhu. Nitin? Yeah, okay.
So, okay, not discouraging, but just to comment, I feel like the word rigid seems scary.
Okay, I'm going to help you out with that.
All right.
So there are a few, as I said, contemporary principles. They may be age-old, but they're also, I'll use the terminology for them, which Nitin, you're very much aware of. It's called deferring tax. He's in real estate, so you know all about this, right? So does everybody know how to defer taxes? what it means? Okay, this is not illegal. It's standard practice. In fact, any good accountant will tell you how to defer your taxes. Defer means to delay. Because the idea is, if you delay paying taxes, and there are legal ways to do that over a long enough period of time, it's likely, not always, but it's likely you'll be in a lower tax bracket, for instance, when you retire, because you're making a lot of money in the middle of your life, and later on, you may not have that. But even if you are making more, it's usually still a good idea to defer taxes. So defer means to delay. There's also another statement that justice delayed is justice denied. That's why we have various aspects in our legal system, which means that you can't hold people unless you're actually going to charge them. And you have to start the process as soon as possible. But people are good at putting that off and delaying. So justice delayed, justice denied, and deferring taxes is a standard process. So there's also a way in which we can defer our material desires. That is, not rigidly deny them. We can acknowledge them and say, yes, you're there, but I'm going to defer till later. And after all, justice delayed is justice denied, and material desires delayed are material desires denied. And there's also another law that goes along with this that will help to flesh out this principle and why it works. And that is called the law of diminishing intent. That's also taught as part of accounting, because in accounting, there's a way in which when you're in the collections department, you want to collect as soon as possible. Why is that? Because of the law of diminishing intent. In fact, the person who coined this phrase, the law of diminishing intent, named Maxwell, said that if you don't do something within 48 hours, then it drastically drops, your intention to do it drastically drops. So this principle can be applied also when it comes to bad habits or material desires. And this is something that is very helpful because it's not so rigid. When something's very rigid, it can break, right? But if you're flexible with the desire and just say that, I acknowledge you're there, and I understand that you think it's a little urgent, but later. For instance, with eating, some people have a problem with eating too much. Has anybody had that situation where thank you. Where somebody says, like, you're eating too much, or you say to yourself, I'm eating too much, but then it just looks so good, and like, if it's, after all, it's cake, and I'll start tomorrow. So this is start the diet tomorrow. I mean, not that diets are a great idea, but the idea here is that instead of saying that I'll never eat this again, you say, I'll do it later. And you defer, you put it off, you delay it. And as you delay, you find out that actually, hey, I'm okay still. For instance, with eating, if you don't want to eat too much at any meal, just say, hey, I'm going to eat later today. So that's not a big thing. If I don't eat everything that's in sight and more that I can find elsewhere, you just put it off. And Haridas Thakur showed by example, because when he was chanting, a young woman came to try to corrupt him. She was sent there, actually paid to do that, because the constable in the town was envious of him and wanted to ruin his reputation. So he sent, and he was chanting all night. So he sent a young woman there who was suggestive in her gestures and what she said to him and so forth. And he said, yeah, sure, later. He didn't say, get out of here, and we'll see you again, I'm going to strangle you. He just said, I have to finish my rounds. I have a certain number that I'm going to, that I have to complete. And so he just delayed. He deferred. He said, wait till tomorrow. Wait till I finish my rounds. And then he just didn't finish. So this is another very important aspect of the practice. And following this verse is you have to have something else to do. Because an idle mind is a devil's workshop, as the old saying goes. And so one can try, anyone can try this. I guarantee you it works. If you say, I'll never do this again, or I'm resisting you, whatever you resist persists. But if you defer and you delay, and you say, yeah, sure, later, and then you have a long time to think about it, and the Maxwell principle of diminishing intent kicks in, and the desire, and oftentimes the hankering is much changed later on. You put it off. That's helpful. Also, the word in this translation is determination. So let's examine the word briefly, hopefully for some practical purpose. And that is that to determination, it has the word terminus in it. That means there's a beginning and an end. And you know it. You know there's a finish line. So if I asked anybody in here to come and do as many push-ups as you can right now, then you might start and then keep looking at me like, when can I stop? And it's like, never, just keep going. You may become discouraged. But if we say, get to 3, and you're like, okay, I'm going to try to get to 3, and you know when the end point is, you have a sense that there's an ending period. So determination also means that we should be aware that there's compacted units of time, like a day. It's like, let me just get through this one day. And in the Bhagavatam, we get a lot of, Bhagavatam is a quintessential teaching of Bhakti Yoga, and in it, Shukadeva Goswami says, if you use one day for doing service to Krishna, especially hearing about him, he said, then you've made one really good day. And you can last a day to do something, especially if you put things off, like all the bad habits or the urges that you have, and say, just for today, we'll do it. Or just for now. And maybe a little later today, I'll get back to you. Have you ever told anybody you get back to them and then you forgot? Okay, 2 people. That makes me feel terrible. I do it all the time. So if whenever those ideas come, they say, yeah, just for now or just for today, I'm going to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Maybe tomorrow I'll pick up my worldly ways again. But today it's okay, and then the next day comes and we go through one more day. So actually I've seen in the recovery movement, there's this bumper sticker that says 1 day at a time. And take 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time. And whatever you're trying to do, put off the things that are distracting you and stay focused on what you're trying to do, and also have a terminus. Like we do a certain number of rounds every day, and you can pull down the beads, and you know that you're going to come to the end of it, so at least finish that. That's why these vows, daily vows, are very helpful, because they help you to defer everything else. And life goes by so fast. Anybody here over 50? Really? Okay. If you might notice it's gone by over 60, over 70, and you just look down one day and go like, wow, the whole thing just went. It's just gone. I mean, when we got back from India the last time, which was a few weeks ago, I was thinking, wow, we have a little time here, and then it's gone. Now we're leaving again. Time just goes by very quickly, but the benefit is, if you dedicate your time, every minute that you dedicate for what's being mentioned here, which is this higher service to God, to Krishna, then that's yours to keep forever. You never lose it. So let's see if there's any comments. Yes. Vaisesika.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I have a question regarding that sentence that God helps those who help themselves. Where is the line between following the God's will and feeling it and following instructions and being trying to be a controller and control the situation?
Well, those are very philosophical. I mean, it's a very philosophical question, but I can tell you something very practical about what Prabhupada said about that phrase, God helps those who help themselves. And that is that helping oneself means putting yourself in front of transcendental sound vibration. And so one of the very practical aspects of this is if you set up your life in such a way that you're surrounded by the implements that you need to practice Krishna consciousness, and at the same time, if you can sneak out the door all those things that are distractive to you, even if you can't get rid of them, at least hide them. Or put them out of reach. You know, parents, they baby-proof their house. Any parents in here? Come on, let's hear it for the parents. There's only 4? I don't believe that. Okay. When you had toddlers in your house, did you baby-proof your house? So what do? You move stuff? Put it out of the way? Because kids, they go up and they grab everything and they pull it, and then they want to put it in their mouth or whatever So you put everything a little higher, or just like, hey, we can't keep that in the house anymore. No more chainsaws in the house. Whatever it is, just get it out of here. Or move it. Move it to higher ground. So devotees baby-proof their lives. Because the mind's like a little baby. It's like, I want this, I want that. It's like, you just had that. And you didn't like it. It's like, no, but I want it again. And so we have to be the adult in the room and then go around and say like, okay, this thing, the mind's going to ask for it again. So let's just hide it and put it out of the environment. But what are they going to do instead? Okay, put something nice there. Put like, what do you think? Like some beads for chanting on? Put those in front. You know, if you see the beads before you see anything else, that's the first thing your mind thinks, man, can I enjoy that? And that'll be there, what's available to you. So God helps those who help themselves. When you're in your right mind, then do as much as you can to baby-proof your life. Use your intelligence while you have it. Now, what's an example of that? In legal documents, when somebody's signing something over, there's a clause in there that says, I'm in my right state of mind. Lawyers, what is it exactly? Somebody can tell me. I'm of sound mind and not under duress. I'm of sound mind and not under duress. And while I'm giving this away while I know what I'm doing, right? So if you have a moment of clarity in your life, you're really lucky. Take that time to organize around that principle. And, you know, which came first, God's help or your intelligence? Well, He's giving the intelligence all the time. And one way that we can help ourselves is by good, besides what I just mentioned, is by good association. There's something magical about that, in that association rubs off on us. And if we're dexterous in moving about the world in such a way that we can keep good association, if there's somebody that we feel has good qualities, try to be there with them. Try to go there. Try to listen in. Try to be part of the group that's there with that person. And you just notice sort of magically, not only you, but the rest of the group, and then that rubs off on you also. That's why people have associations and like this, a society for Krishna consciousness, so that people can come in and feel the influence of the association. Otherwise, it would be very difficult if we were all isolated on our own, wouldn't it? So when we can do these things, when we have the wherewithal to do them, then Krishna will give us an inordinate result, meaning that we'll get a lot more than we thought we would. That's why one of his names is Vanchatita, which means that he rewards the devotees a lot more than they can even know that he will, and helps more. Thanks for such a nice question. Oh, that's Kennedy's here. Please go ahead, Kennedy.
Hare Krishna. I'm glad I
Krishna.
can join you guys today.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, we're in this wild world with a lot of illusions, and there's a lot that we have to work through in order to walk with Krishna and be closer to him. So that's going to involve a whole lot of forgiveness on our part, because ultimately, there's no way we live in a world where he doesn't want us to succeed. So in order to get there, we have to be so kind and gentle with ourselves as we take it day by day, because we are going to falter, because we are human. And if we were perfect, we wouldn't need all the support that we have and the communities that we have.
Kennedy, your statements are always so positive and helpful.
Thank you.
Keep walking the earth and helping us out. It's really nice. Thank you very much for that. Oh, looks like Bhakta Roman, right? Is that okay? Looks like you shaved up, so I couldn't recognize you right away. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, it's actually a really wonderful point, and I was thinking about your letter, recent letter about how we can use everything that we have in the Krishna consciousness, and it helps a lot, because if you add it to your practices, you look at the things like your computer, like your car, like anything that you have around you, material, and you can remind Krishna too, because with your car you can drive Vaishnavas, you can drive books. With your computer you can watch the lectures, you can do everything in the Krishna service. And that's also a good point, and it's a good challenge, because now you have to look at everything that surrounds you, and you have to challenge your brain saying, oh, okay, how even this thing can help me to, give some service to Krishna. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roman. It is such an important point, and that is that everything in the world, in the universe, look around, see if you see any things. See any things? We'll name 3. Camera, mic, water. There are a lot of things. If you start counting them up, you'll be there all day. How many things there are just in Silicon Valley or in your room. So all things are paraphernalia to be used in service to Krishna. And if you look at anything or all things in that way, then you don't become entangled when you pick it up. If you have a noble purpose, a spiritual purpose for touching anything in the world, it won't stick to you in the way that it does normally. The material world is like a tar baby, which means there's an old story, like this guy, I forget who it was. Who was fighting with the tar baby? When he tried to punch the tar baby, and then he got stuck, his hand stuck, then he got, he tried the other hand, pretty soon he was enveloped in the tar, because the tar baby does that. It sticks to you. Brer Rabbit, thank you, Bhakta Brer. So Bhakta Brer got in a tussle with the tar baby, and he got stuck. So now I'm amusing myself up here. I forgot what I was going to say. Was that I wanted to go back to what Nitin said about rigidity. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna tells Uddhava that we all have a particular nature. And he calls the position we are in life right now adhikari, an adhikar, actually. So it's a kind of stature qualification that we have, that we've developed over time. And he says, according to where you are now, whatever your position is now, you engage on that level to come to the next level. Where over-rigidity starts is where I try to jump up farther than I'm capable of doing. And oftentimes people then fall back. You run up the ladder too fast and you may slip. However, if you don't go up the ladder when you're able to take the next rung, then your advancement will be distant. So you have to sort of measure it and see that, okay, here's where I am now. Now I'm firmly on the ladder, do what I can with what I have now, then I can move to the next level. But do move to the next level, because both things are illegal. One, not moving, illegal. The other, moving too fast so that you can't actually touch the rungs and you'll slip and fall, illegal. But going at the speed that you can handle, that's good. Okay, I want to make one more point. Yes, Pargarangi.
Thank you for the nice class always, as always. You were mentioning about being in the right mindset, and when we're in right mindset, then we should baby-proof our lives as much as we can. And my reflection and question was that when we are in good association or in right mindset, it's very easy and natural to feel very determined. But oftentimes we feel that determination fading away. So what should we do when we sense that we're losing our determination, we're losing our focus? So how to refocus ourselves?
Collect mentors. Everyone has that. It's sort of human nature to shut down. Like every system in the body, when you're not using it, it starts to shut down. I know that because Srivas Pandit Prabhu gave me a book all about it. Remember? Yeah, it was a scientific study. Like, I remember parts about it with the eye. As soon as you're not using, your eye's not being directly stimulated, you're not focusing on something, then the eye starts to kind of shut down. Sort of like your screensaver thing. We have a, that is biomimicry of our bodies and minds. When you're not using it at a peak experience, like driving at 110 miles an hour to get to the temple for Mangalartik, don't do that. Then there's a tendency things just shut down. So we can't be overly critical of our situation. I've mentioned before, the Hansa Avatar tells us in the Bhagavatam that our senses and the sense objects are connected. So no wonder when we look out in the world and we see this, that, and the other thing, I want it, it's already connected. So now I amused myself again and I forgot. So you're... collecting mentors? Yeah, collecting mentors. So people in all disciplines who are trying to make advancement in those and get a little extra out of themselves, get mentors. Let's look at in athletics. People hire like a strength coach because it's not so easy to go in or go out or wherever you're going for your workout and get as much out of it just by pushing yourself. I mean, some people can do it, but most people get somebody standing on the, like if it's on a track, they stand there, they tell you how you're doing halfway around, right? They're like, okay, here's your splits. You got, to hit a 4-minute mile, you're behind, hurry up. And then the last lap, they ring a bell. It's called the bell lap. Bing, 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 go, all systems go. So if somebody wasn't standing there helping you, and also what to speak of, if it's live and somebody's cheering you on, oh boy, you can really do a lot then. So that's why association is so important, and specifically people who you invite to help you get more out of your practices. You have association with people like that. I mean, I have several. What does several mean exactly? It's nondescript, isn't it? We don't know how many that is, do we? It's really a cop-out. Anyway, I have a plethora of mentors. That one's nondescript too. I have a plethora of mentors, and for certain aspects in my life where I need something, I know each one of them, and I know what they can do for me. So, some of them I know can help me in one area of my life, others in other areas of life, and so I stay in that orbit. And then whenever I need it, which is frequently, like almost every day, then I make sure I line up with those mentors and I hear what I need to hear to keep going or get advice. So Gaudiya Vaishnavism is not solitary. It's a team sport, and you need mentors. And if you line yourself up with the right people who are willing to do that for you, then even in times when you're down, you can come right back up again if you just have the right person coaching you. Okay, one more principle. Are you ready? Because we heard here about, in this story, the little sparrow took it upon herself to peck out all the water of the ocean. So how long is that going to take? Long time. There are a lot of things we do where we can't see the end of it. I was talking to some devotees the other night, I believe it was Friday night, and they were asking about writing a book. So I wrote a book, and when I was in the middle of the book, people asked me, how does it feel? And I said, it feels like swimming in the middle of the ocean. I don't see the shore yet, but I can't go back because I could be in the middle. All I can do is swim forward, and I don't know when I'm going to see it, and just don't stop. And this is another sense of determination, and also that was the mood of the little sparrow. That she's like, this is it. I'm just going to keep doing this. And we always come to a point where there's help on the way. I heard another story. You want to hear another story? Yes. Story hour. Okay. So if anybody needs a blanket or cookies and milk, I'll keep telling stories. And now there were two frogs in the barn, and they were hopping all over the place one day. Actually, it was the evening time. And everyone had gone home except for the frogs, so they were investigating. And as they hopped around, one jumped off into what seemed to be an abyss, and the other followed, and they ended up in some liquid. And they were swimming next to each other, and actually what it was a big bucket of milk. The farmer had milked the cow and left the bucket there. And there the frogs were swimming. And they tried to get out, but the bucket was slick, and they couldn't get out of the bucket. So they were swimming and swimming and kicking. And one of them was very negative and said, this is useless. We've tried to get out at least 100 times, and we've slid down the edge, and I'm getting tired, and I can't do this anymore. Glunk. Is that the right noise? Blimp. Poor little frog. He went under and he drowned in the milk. But the other one said, I'm going to keep going. I can't do anything else. I'm going to go until my legs won't move anymore. And he was kicking, and the dusk turned to dark, and he kept trying. And then a miracle happened. Suddenly he felt something solid underneath his feet. And then he realized that actually he wasn't even trying anymore, and he was staying above the water, above the milk. And then as the light came up from the next day, he looked down and he saw that he was floating on butter, because he had kicked so hard and kept churning until the milk turned to butter. And he was on a solid little butterberg, like an iceberg, only butter. And this is what happens when we're on the right track. Of course, you want to make sure that you're swimming for the right reason. But when we discern that and we understand that I'm following the right instruction, like we can trust Bhagavad Gita. We know we're getting the best instruction. So why not then just keep trying, despite the fact that it looks like I'm in the middle of the ocean and I'll never make it. So now I was going to tell a principle, not a story. And that is a mathematical principle called the law of large numbers. Now the law of large numbers says, and maybe I'll say exactly what it says. The law of large numbers. If you repeat an experiment independently a large number of times and average the result, what you obtain should be close to the expected value. So what this means is, or what I'm going to make it mean is, that in order to in order to come to the perfection of any practice, you have to do it enough times. This is a typical point. People will say, like, well, I'm not getting any bliss. I have no taste. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, when he met two of his disciples and they said that, he said, well, how long have you been chanting? And they said, 10 years. And he said, oh, I'm relieved. I thought you had been doing it for a long time. You have to use a whole lifetime. One human lifetime is possibly just about enough, but best if you use the whole thing. From pillar to post. Got that in India. And, keep doing it. How many experiments have you done? How many times have you actually tried to chant with attention? Can you count them up? Or did you do the experiment right? Was it a double-blind study? And then, did you actually do it? So keep doing it, and keep doing it as many times right as you can. Then definitely you'll come to the result that you're looking for, but you have to do it for a long time. In fact, in the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila Dev, in answering his mother, who's saying, I'm really done with the material world. I'm so frustrated with this place. It's basically torture here, dealing with the mind, and I want to take up spiritual practice, and I'm very determined to do this. And then Kapila Dev said, here's what you should do. Take up this practice and do it for a long time, he said. It's not an overnight process, but it's a dedication throughout one's life. And you can do it from the level you're starting from now, but just be determined and be persistent and keep doing it. And the determination means if you decide ahead of time that I'll use this one life, defer all the other ideas you had for this life, all the other plans, and just say, this one lifetime I'm going to use just for this experiment, trying to get to Krishna. And if it doesn't work out, there are plenty more lifetimes in the material world I can try to enjoy again if I want to. But this lifetime, I'm going to put off everything else just for this and see what happens. You'll come to the result that you're looking for. So now we're going to try what is called the Yuga Dharma. So we're in a particular time period in the universe right now, and somehow or other we're all gathered here in Silicon Valley, California, and we have an opportunity, because we're all together, to do what's called Sankirtan. Kirtan is a glorification of God's names by singing. Let's see if anybody can sing. Say, Hari. Hari. Try again. Hari. It's beautiful, what you just did. It's a gift. I was singing the other morning, and I was just singing walking around the house, and I was thinking, how did I do that? And also, how did I know, to move my voice so I get another note? And how did I know that? It's a gift from God. I'm not me. I don't have much capability of doing, but I muddle through. But it's miraculous to me how that happens. So you have a God-given gift. You can make music with your own voice. And then, who gets to listen to it? Well, most of the time, I do. I'm listening to my own singing. But then, when we sing together, it's a chorus. It's really beautiful, like what we just did. Because we hear everyone together. We just knew how to match everybody else's tone. So in Sankirtan, it means to come together for that purpose and sing. But what's it sing what? Sing divine names of God. So there's three very powerful names and the combination thereof. Hare, Krishna, and Rama. Hare, Krishna, Rama. Hare, Krishna, Rama. Hare Krishna Rama, Hare Krishna Rama. So if you start listening to that, you'll never want to stop. And that's a good sign. So the way the Sankirtan works is one person will lead by singing out loud, and everyone else will listen. And then you pick up the same mantra, the same tone, and you sing it back. And we'll bounce it back and forth like that, okay? Shall we try it? Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. For those of you who are here for the first time or unacquainted with this, these are just a preface to our chanting. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachar. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, now all sing. You listen and then you all sing back as a chorus. Are you ready? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitya Gaura Hari Bo. Nitai Go Premanande. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Shri Harinam Mahamantra Ki. Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki. Go Premanande. Nitai Go Da Hari Bo. Hari Bo. Hari Bo. Nitai Go Da Hari Bo. Okay, now I know you all want to dance. So we're going to accommodate you. We're going to roll out the dance floor. It's right underneath where we're sitting right now. It's wooden, so feel free to spring up as high as you like. And dancing is one of the processes of bhakti that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, so intrinsic to the soul. So in just about 30 seconds, we'll get up from here, put all the asanas in the back there, be a little flurry of activity. We'll roll up this carpet, and then we'll stand in front of the deities. Usually the women stand on this side, men on that side. Just makes it easier, but it's not a hard and fast rule. Don't feel too restricted. Just makes it easier sometimes you're dancing. And then we usually keep a little aisle open right down the middle, so probably can see the deities. Everyone ready? Yes. Okay, we're going to say a quick prayer, which is saying our obeisances to all the devotees. Vancha kalpadrishya kripa sindhavevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. That means that the devotees, when you associate with them, they fulfill all your desires for pure devotional service. Hare Krishna. Are you going home?
I might go a little early, but I can stay.
No, you don't have to.
I really can stay.
I'll miss you. I'm already missing you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we can stay.
Oh, thank you.
The thread you can hang somewhere other. Okay. Small. Yeah, that's the easy trick. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
I'll be around.
Okay.
But
Well, don't feel obligated.
No, yeah.
But anyway, thank you. I was just expressing.
I like it.
They close the curtains at 5:30.
Okay.
If it doesn't stop before.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Shunyavadi Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Gaura Bhaktivinoda. To Meg. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hari Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Sadhu. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki Shri Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham ki Ganga Mai ki Yamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi ki Tulasi Devi ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Transcendental Book Distribution ki Samaya the Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Shri Prabhupada. Stop. Namaste Narashinghaya. Praladaladaine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye. Ito na Singha, Parato na Singha. Yato yamitato na Singha. Pahi na Singha, Hridaye na Singha. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samvita Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki, Jai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. We welcome you all to ISKCON of Silicon Valley. We're very glad to have your presence here. we have a few quick announcements before we have a very special award ceremony, as well as prasadam, which will be served soon. First, we'd like to thank His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu for leading a wonderful special class today, as well as leading the kirtan following that. We'd like to thank our online audience, who are a very key part of our program, as well as the astute team who brings us this online broadcast every program. By a quick show of hands, do we have any newcomers who've come here to ISV for the first time? Oh, well, some older newcomers. Well, thank you very much for coming. We're very glad to have you here. We really want to see you come again and again. So if there's anything we can do to make your stay here pleasurable, and please reach out to myself or Sri Gopal Prabhu if you have any questions. So, for these Sunday Feast programs, we have a lot of devotees who sponsor to make these programs possible and bring a beautiful feast to the devotees, and there's various occasions behind those sponsorships. So we have 5 sponsors for today's Sunday Feast, and when we call your name, please come up so you can say a few words, and we can give you these beautifully packed Mahaprasadam Mangalarti sweets as a return. So make sure you come up. All right, Akhil Prabhu and Anusha Mataji are sponsoring on the occasion of their wedding anniversary. Are they here? Please come up. All right, we have, oh, they're here. Okay, and while they're coming up, would Nithin Prabhu, who's visiting from Boston, come up, please, if you're here, Nithin Prabhu. Yeah, please come up. Mataji says thank you, and she's seeking all of your blessings. Haribo. So Nithin Prabhu, you are sponsoring on behalf of the memory of your father, Netar Swarup Puri. Our prayers and wishes in the memory of your father. Would you like to come up to get your gift? No. All right, we'll give it to you later. We have Achyuta Nandan Prabhu, who is sponsoring on the occasion of the disappearance day of his Guru Maharaj. Are you here, Prabhu? Please. Yes, please say a few words.
I'll be brief because the 11th offense to the holy name is keeping devotees from prasadam. So I'll try not to take long, but we hear from the Vaishnavas that to grow our connection to Krishna, we should build our relationship with Srila Prabhupada and other Vaishnavas. And to deepen our relationship with Srila Prabhupada, we should hear and respect his devotees and his disciples who served him. So one of those devotees who respected Srila Prabhupada as a Shiksha Guru was His Holiness, His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. So he passed away 12 years ago on this day, and so in honor of his disappearance, we're honored to have this service of serving all of you. So Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was very beautiful. Thank you. Next, we have Gautam Saha and Ramesh Sethinathan, if you would like to make your way up. So Gautam Saha is sponsoring, and his family are sponsoring in the memory of Sri Santosh Saha. Are you here by any chance? Okay, all right, that's no problem. Yeah, we'd like to thank them for their sponsorship. And we have Ramesh Sethinathan, who is sponsoring on the occasion of his birthday. Oh, Haribo. I thought you were Ramesh Prabhu. All right. Well, I have 4 boxes of Mahaprasadam sweets all to myself. All right. We would like to wish a safe journey to the Global Youth Retreat, which is going to take place in Puri and Mayapur. So all the youth from ISV and actually all over the world are going to be going with Vaisesika Prabhu on a first time ever retreat this December. And and Narakula Mataji. who are going to be taking them graciously to these beautiful places. And it's going to be such a beautiful experience for our youth. So we seek your blessings and prayers that it's an absolute success and it will be happening every single year from here on out. Haribo. All right, so we will now have a special award ceremony. So a couple weeks ago, if you remember, we had Sundarananda Prabhu, who's leading a Gita workshop. He gave out awards for the group that is participated in San Jose. Now we have a group in San Jose, which is led by Srivas Chandra Prabhu, who has just completed their course, and they're going to be receiving their certificates from Vaisesika Prabhu. So please stay, hang tight. I promise it's going to be really fast and meaningful before Prasadam, so you can congratulate all these devotees for their commitment to study Bhagavad Gita. And if we can just, Haribo, and just move back a little bit.
Hare Krishna. So as Priya was mentioning, we distributed these certificates a few weeks ago. Now this is the same thing we're doing for the Fremont batch. So this is Gita in a Nutshell course, which is a 9-session course on the introducing the fundamental topics or the concepts of the Bhagavad Gita, so that once one understands these fundamental concepts, then it's very easy to go deeper into the Bhagavad Gita and have this enthralling journey with the Bhagavad Gita. So we covered topics like, how can I control my mind? Who am I? Is there life after death? Why do bad things happen to good people? And then peace amidst chaos and uncertainty. So some of those topics were covered by Srivas Chandra Prabhu. And we would also like to take a moment to thank the hosts, Tarang Prabhu and Ram Priya Prabhu and their families for kindly hosting these programs and facilitating these discussions with the newcomers. So all these, so this ceremony, is to celebrate the completion of the course, and all those attendees are here today. So we welcome all of you to the larger family within the ISKCON community, and we hope that your journey will continue, with the community and also the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So with that, I'll hand over to Srivas Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. First of all, we would like to congratulate all the participants of this course, Gita in a Nutshell. They participated very enthusiastically, asked very intelligent and amazing questions. And we feel now they are well equipped to defeat all atheistic forces within and without. So, in fact, some of them said that the course should not stop. So we'll soon be starting a Bhakti Vriksha as well for them. And some of them are here with their family members as well. And we would like to welcome them and thank them as well for cooperating and enabling your family member to attend this course. So we'll start calling everyone one by one. Please come here and collect these certificates from Vaisesika Maharaj. And we also have gifts for you, a copy of Bhagavad Gita as well as beads. And we request all devotees to please bless all the participants so that they can continue in this journey. And we humbly request Vaisesika Maharaj to speak a few words of blessings for everyone.
May everyone who took this course and completed it or got halfway through be always mindful of the dangers of the material world and always looking towards the spiritual world to take shelter of Krishna. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sada Pashanti Suryaho Deviva Chakshra Tatam Tavipraso Vipanyavo Jagrivansaha Smindate Vishnu Yat Paramam Padam. Paramam Padam Ki. And this is the process, step by step. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, when you get this divine knowledge, it becomes the Jnana Agni. Jnana is knowledge and Agni is fire. So the Jnanagni means that it burns to ashes all the crazy ideas we have about trying to find something here in the material world, and we go back to our real home. Gaur Premanande. And we'd like to thank you very much, Srivas Prabhu and Sundarananda Prabhu and your whole team, because this is the foundation of the Sampradaya, is passing on knowledge so that others can take it fully into their hearts, as you just so eloquently stated. and then have that a solid footing in Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj, for those wonderful words of blessings. So we also have 2 attendees from the San Jose batch. They could not come last time. So first we'll go with them. Do we have Saili here? Please come and take your certificate. Saili. Yeah, she's here. Hari Bol. Next, Pooja Kalita. Pooja Kalita. Followed by Subhash Gopinath. Subhash Gopinath. Followed by Deepa Siba and Pavan Gupta. Pavan Gupta. Yeah, he's here. Janki Kora is probably not here today, and Srinivas is also not here. Ravi Elappan. Followed by Sajiri. Anil Sharma.
Congratulations.
Karthik Gopal Krishnan. Kimberly Pham. Vikas Achpilia. There are a few others, but I think they are not here. Did we miss someone? Please raise your hand if you are here, but we missed you. Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So I believe you're all aware what we had this weekend, but I would like one of the kids to let me know what they did this weekend. Who is brave enough to come forward here and tell me? I want a kid who is around 12.
He's 12 at heart.
I know you're 12 at heart, but... do you want to say, Braja or Aradhya? Do you want to come and tell me what you did this weekend? Come on forward. You tell everyone what you did this weekend. You want to say, Braja? Okay, what did you do this weekend?
This weekend,
Today, what did you do?
Today I chanted, I went on a walk in the morning. I chanted. Yeah, I went Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, tell them.
What?
Bhagavad Gita distribution? Okay, you want to say, Braja? Aradhya, what did you do? How many places did you put Bhagavad Gita?
I didn't do it.
Oh, all right. It's okay. Come on over, hon.
I packed books and went on book distributing.
Where did you go to distribute the books, and how was your experience?
I went around my apartment complex, and then today I went to the different stores surrounding the temple.
Are you proud to do this?
Yeah.
Say it proudly.
Yeah.
Okay, so All the kids from the ISV, they went around apartments, store to store, even to the barber shops or bars and the grocery stores, and they gave out the books of Bhagavad Gita to each and every place they can put their hands on, or their parents took them. So we want to thank each and every kid and all the parents who participated, and they distributed 5,000 Bhagavad Gita on this weekend. It shows a commitment, a responsibility, and they did it with so much love and care. So we are really, really grateful, and we will do this. And now you probably have your bar raised higher for next year, right? Okay, so you can start meditating and thinking from now on. So we want to thank Sukeshwari, Manjula Kanta to lead this effort and organizing this wonderful event to take all the kids of the community out. And also you just remember that you have made a huge mark. And not just they distributed the books, they were treated with the pizzas and spaghetti.
That was prepared by Hansapriya Mataji.
Oh, no. I had beautiful devotees here, Russian devotees if you're here, Kamala and Anandi, and many other devotees, Alina, Victoria, Vrinda Sevika. They made the crust. Manjula Kanta and her team tirelessly worked, and they made the pizzas and they baked all today. And Swarna Gopika made the sauce, so it was a whole team of effort. So thank you very much, everyone, to come forward and to prepare this wonderful pizza and spaghetti. And I'm sure we will top it up with the cupcakes next year. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Haribol. One last sponsor and one quick announcement for Prashadam. So we have Ramesh Prabhu and Nitya Tarangini Mataji who are sponsoring for Gita Priya, our little Gita Priya, who's turning 5 years today. Haribol. Gita Priya, you have to say a few words for us.
Hare Krishna. So she's turning 5 tomorrow. She's very fortunate to be part of this community where kids get so much inspiration from, other kids and other devotees. Please give her your blessings so that she can grow up and be part of ISV and serve all the Vaishnavas here. Thank you so much.
Haribol. Thank you, Mataji. This is for you. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you to all our sponsors. And now for Prashadam, we're actually trying something new. We had some supply chain experts solve the long line wait for a Prashadam. So we're testing out a 2-line system. So if you were standing outside and you were looking at the Prashadam tables this way, how I'm looking at it, the left one is pre-made plates. So you can just grab a plate and go. You don't have to wait for everybody to serve you in your plate. But if you're on the right side, because you want a specific quantity or you don't want some items, you will be served on the right side, like that. So left side is? Right side is? Left? Right? Okay, you all got it. Okay, so that is how Prashadam will be served. So just to make the line faster, so all our newcomers and everybody gets Prashadam timely, we recommend that you go on the pre-made line. Prashadam is amazing as always, but if you would like, the right line is also available. And after Prashadam prayers, Prashadam will be served in the parking lot outside. Thank you so much. Haribol. And due to our long announcements, we would like to thank the large team of cooks and cleaners who made this feast possible. If you would like to help with cleaning, there's a lot of cleaning in the temple room that will take place before the 7 p.m. Youth Jam Kirtan, so please be cognizant of that while taking Prashadam. And there will also be cleaning help that's needed in the kitchen, so thank you very much. And I'm officially done. Sharira Vidyaja Bhagavad-Shri Mahaprasadam ki Nitai Gaur Premanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bol